Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to the 5th video within my autism series. I am filming these all at one day because I am going back to work very soon, so I want to get all this filmed. I can edit it whilst I'm at work, but I can't film. So I am filming this all, which explains why the whole series so far has been in the same outfit, but don't judge. So for those of you who haven't seen the other videos in my series, then please click on the card above, whichever one it is, or the videos down below to get the background of the series and to watch the ones in the series prior to watching this one, because it all kind of flows in a series. The first video I talked about what is autism. The second video I talked about my personal journey to getting my diagnosis of autism. The third video I talked about my criteria that I met and what the assessment document kind of looks like, and I explained the order of it all. The fourth video I talked about how I'm adapting to life as a late diagnosed autistic, and in this video I'm going to be talking about autism in the workplace and how you, if you're watching this as an employer, can help somebody who you think might be autistic or has told you they are autistic, and how you can help them, and how you can sort of understand, coming from a autistic brain, how someone is trying to perceive their behavior. Because a lot of the time, especially even me, I work in a workplace where I have colleagues, I have a line manager, I have I have an actual employer and stuff. I work for somebody. I want this whole YouTube thing to be my full-time job, but at the moment it's not. So I do have a employed job, and a lot of the time I've been misunderstood. I have been told that I've been rude and all that sort of stuff. So in today's video I'm going to be talking about kind of almost a dictionary or a guide for employers, but also if you are autistic and you're watching this video, then basically ways and things you can ask for and tools you can use in order to help yourself in the workplace. So let's go ahead and get started.
And trying to remain so strong. I know it's good if I'm alone. I got it.
So if you're new here, my name is Deanna, I'm 29, I am autistic, and I was diagnosed when I was 28, so I was late diagnosed, and I live in the UK. So that is a bit about me, and yeah, let's go ahead and get started with the first thing that I think is the most important thing for more employers to be aware of, is the signs that someone might be autistic, even if they haven't told you they are autistic. So the first thing is asking a lot of questions, and I fall victim to this all the time. So I ask so many questions, and some of which may even seem obvious to someone. This symptom for me also becomes more apparent when I am in a job or in a role in which I feel out of depth, or I feel like I don't know what I'm doing, or I feel like I need more training, and I can't necessarily identify that at the time. But for example, I recently got a job, and I've worked this job for I worked it since February or March time, so just before I got diagnosed, because I got diagnosed in the April, and I worked within the nursery. Bearing in mind, I haven't got a nursery degree or qualification. I'm there for lunchtime controller, so I'm not there all the time, but I don't have a nursery degree. I also have never had a job in a nursery. I know some of the kids from after school care, but that's about it. So it was very much out of my depth. I did do some training online, and I did get the job fair and square. I did do the interviews and all that sort of stuff, even though this second job was in the same environment as my first. I did the interview, I did all the processes like normal, and I got the job, right? I did all the extra training, and I really learned quite a bit on that extra training, but I learned best on the job. So I'm going to ask lots of questions, especially within the first couple of months, because I want to do things right, and I want to do things to the best of my ability and to the standard that you want them done. So for employers, don't take questions as an undermining thing. I've heard a lot of my colleagues, a lot of neurotypicals, think that me asking questions is me undermining their behaviour or undermining the task that I've been asked to do, or me not wanting to do the task. And I'm like, that couldn't be further from the truth. I want to do the task, I want to do it to the best of my ability, and I want to do it in the best way possible. So I'm going to ask these questions so I do it to the best of my ability, and I do it to the standard you want it. And I've had some neurotypicals go, well, you're rude, or you're undermining me, or something like that. And I don't understand how that connects in their brain. So if anyone can explain that to me, that'd be great. But don't take it as undermining. Take it as face value. And the best important thing I can say is, if you've got someone who you think is autistic, or even to someone in general who is asking a load of questions, just answer them. It's as simple as that. Just answer the questions. And if you're unsure as to why they're asking questions, just say, do you have all the information you need? Or do you need any more help? Or do you want me to show you how else do that task. It's an important thing to be able to be shown things, to be able to have clear instructions, and to be able to have a time frame and all this sort of stuff for someone who's autistic to be able to do the task well enough and good enough to the standard that is expected of them. The last thing that autistics want to do is be perceived as rude. The last thing that autistics want to do is be perceived as undermining. We do not want that. Most of us don't anyway. And most of us just want to be accepted. So please keep that in your mind, and please just answer the questions. Answer the questions. It's, in my mind, it's not that hard, but I know that that's me being very like blunt, but it isn't that hard in my opinion. Like, I've been a line manager, I've been an acting manager, and whenever someone's asked me a question, I've gone, would you like me to show you how to do that? Or this is how it's done, or something like that. And I've tried to explain it the best I can. So the next thing that's important with this is, if they're asking a lot of questions, is to ask them to clarify what their understanding is of the task. So this can be very important, especially if you as a boss or a line manager or a colleague aren't sure that they know what they're doing. Say, can you just tell me what you think this job is going to be? Or can you just tell me like what you're going to do? Or something like that. Just to reassure me, can you just tell me what you're going to be doing in this particular like task or whatever? You know, we won't take it as a bad thing. We'll just say, oh yeah, you've asked me to do this, and then you said, can I do this, and then I've got to do this to finish the task. And you can go, oh yeah, that's correct, okay, I'll see you when it's done. And that's it. You don't need to like take it as a rude thing. It's not, I swear. Especially for me, it's not rude. And also the last thing under the questions thing is to enable your employees or your colleagues to ask questions. Enable it. Encourage it even. Like, if someone wants to ask questions and they seem to be pausing and trying to think of another question, fill that space by saying, do you have any more questions? Before like just walking off. I've had that sometimes where I've started asking questions, I've then stopped and paused trying to think if I've got anything else to ask, and the person just walked off, and I've been like, now I've got another question. And I can't leave because the task I've got to do, I work in a school, so the task I've got to do involves a child most likely. So yeah. I've had a lot of problems at work, and this is just to say, if you're an employer watching this, ask questions. You ask questions to your autistic or potential autistic employee or any employee, and allow them to ask questions. Answer the questions at face value. Don't see anything else into it. We don't, so don't. Don't look into it any deeper than what it is. It is someone asking questions to make sure they're doing it right. That is it. Second point is 99% of the time, we are not rude. We may say something out of turn. We may perceive the situation wrong. We may not understand the social cues. We may butt in with conversations. We may say something out of turn. We may not understand what is right and what is wrong socially. But 99% of the time, our intentions are not to be rude. That is 99% of the time. I am saying this as somebody who has actually been told by a colleague that I am rude, like to my face. And at this particular time, my intention was not to be rude. I said something out of turn, and it was something that simply because I'm autistic. And she turned around and told me I was rude. So I'm going to leave it at that. But if you are an employer, a colleague, a line manager or whatever, and someone says something and you think they're autistic, they might be autistic, or even if they're just a colleague, don't shout at them or tell them they're rude. Pull them to the side and say, is everything okay? Like, that's what I would do as a manager anyway. Is everything okay? Can I do anything to help? Because what you said did come across a little bit rude. And taking that extra 5 minutes to like more empathetically, however you say that word, come across and tell that person in a more constructive criticism way will help your relationship with them, but will also help them to be more motivated in their work. Number 3 is an autistic person or someone who thinks they're autistic, is waiting for an assessment or whatever, is going to have interests and special interests. As much as you can, allow them to talk about their interests. Ask questions about their interests. Make yourself seem like you're interested in it, even if you're not. Honestly, it will make the day of an autistic person. If they're talking about something with passion and enthusiasm and just seem very like, and this is what you do this, and they're talking really fast, or they're really explaining something with excitement and enthusiasm, that is most likely because that is a special interest of theirs. And the best thing you can do is listen to them rant, listen to them ramble, and then at the end say, so you do this to make this, or something like that, and ask a question, and they will be like, yeah, yes, you do that, and they will feel so happy that you seemed interested or were interested in what they had to say. We don't get that very often. So to have that by somebody who we don't necessarily think is going to be like that is actually something that can make our day. Number 4 is to be aware of sensory input. So for people with autistic like tendencies, I was going to say people with autism, but I said autistic. Okay, for people with autism, it is very common for them to have, and they actually need to, for the diagnostic criteria, have some issue with a sensory need. So this may be anything to do with senses. This could be light, this could be sound, this could be pitch, this could be taste, this could be touch, this could be anything, right? For me, it is high pitched noises, loud noises, and that comes into consideration with like arguments and abruptness and being told off and all that sort of stuff, although that's something completely different. That is relating to my autism, but that's also relating to my CPTSD. So mine is mainly sound and noise. Some other people can't be touched. Some other people can't look at bright lights. I'm looking at a bright light right now. It's not the most comfortable, but I'm able to do it. So yeah, be aware of sensory needs. Ask them if they need anything else. Ask them if they need some sort of help with any sensory needs. Like, provide as much as you can. There is a grant for the Access to Work in which you can actually apply for funding to be able to help your autistic employee or the person who might be autistic. You don't need a diagnosis to be able to apply for the Access to Work, and that's something I recently learned. So you can actually apply for it and say, look, I think I'm autistic and I think I'd benefit from noise cancelling earbuds. Honestly, it can take months to come through, so the earlier you apply for it, the better. And that's something I'm actually going to end up doing this evening because I've got quite a few things to, like, admin-y wise to do. So I am going to be applying for the Access to Work, and I think it will really be helping, and it will really help me. The next thing for an employer to be aware of, but also for someone who's autistic to be aware that they could have this as well, is something called APD, which is Auditory Processing Disorder. Auditory processing disorder is something that is very common to have with autistic people, and it's basically where, like, I'll give the best example I've got, which is something that I do, like, weekly at work. I serve food to the kids, and when they're all lining up, they're all chatting amongst themselves, but I'm trying to focus on this one kid in front of me, and I can't focus on the one kid in front of me because I've got all this background noise. So noise cancelling earbuds might be helpful because it helps to drown out that background noise, make it less. Like, for example, at the moment I'm sitting here and I can hear the fan on my laptop, which is there. It is really annoying, but I'm trying to like get this video filmed. So yeah, that's one example. You know, fans, noise, TVs in the background. Try and make things as easy and as less sensory and as less distracting as possible. So this can be either by removing the trigger or the sensory need, or it can be by lessening it. So removing it might be taking them to a different room to have a conversation if possible, or lessening it might be like saying to them, right, I'm just going to shout at the kids for 2 seconds, and they might put their fingers in their ears, and then you might shout at them saying, be quiet, sort of thing, you know, and then like, or whatever, say it nicer than that, but you know, like, it's getting too loud in here, can we quiet it down and get the kids to be a bit quieter? That will help your autistic employee without drawing attention to the fact that they're autistic, you know? So that is the 4 main tips that I have for autistic people, or employers, or colleague people of autistic people, or people you think might be autistic, or just any person that you work with, really. So this video is just basically to say compassion and understanding is the best thing when you're working with anybody, when you think they might be autistic, they've told you they're autistic, anything. Just compassion. I don't know what else to say. Compassion. So that is the end of today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and as I say at the end of every single one of my videos, I believe in you, even if nobody else does. And I shall see you in my next one. Bye.
Just like you're young again. No, don't you cry. Just get back up again.